Hi my friends, it's Katya from FitInMobility, and today I'm so excited. I'm gonna try to present to you a few amazing facts that you need to know about pain. I'm currently here in Madrid, and this was actually a gift from Egypt to Madrid. It's called Templo de Debod, and now I'm thinking about all our ancestors from Egypt, how much pain they need to suffer building all these pyramids and temples. And today we are going to talk about how is our brain processing the pain and why some people have more pain than the others. So it's going to be very interesting. Stay tuned. So we're gonna start with the fact number one. Pain is always real. It's real for you and it's real for me. And the difference is between you and me, how we are processing it. And all depends not only on our genetic, how many nociceptors we have. These are pain receptors, but also from my past experience. Did I have some traumatic experiences in my life? Am I under stress? Do I sleep well? Am I depressed? Do I have conflicts at work or at home? All these additional factors, let's say psychological and emotional factors, are influencing the pain as well. So imagine if I was a child and I was bitten by a dog, right? And this bite was, for example, in my arm. And after 10 years, if somebody is grabbing me firmly on this spot, this can fire up the same pain receptors, and I will experience this grip as very painful, although I will not see any redness or any bruises. We can take another example. If we take person A and person B and we both cut the person with a knife on the finger, we all experience this in our lives, right? We know how does this feel. And we ask the first person, from 1 to 10, tell me how much does it hurt? And he said, well, it's 2 out of 10. And the second person will say, what? It's like 7 or 8, give me a painkillers, I cannot stand this. And now you see the processing of pain is very different from person to person. So now I'm thinking about one of my favorite professor in neuroscience, Professor Nelson Annunciato from Brazil. He gave us one example from his studying years, and he said that at his university, one professor wrote a dot on a blackboard, just a simple dot, and he asked the students, what do you see? And the students say, well, we see a dot, right? And some, they were a little more specific and they say, well, I see a red dot, right? And the professor said, okay, you're all right, but you're all wrong at the same time. Why? Because nobody sees the blackboard with a dot. So what this professor actually meant, that you need to think of this blackboard as well, because this blackboard represents a person with all his individuality and personality. And when we are treating the patients or the person or your family members in the end, you need to think of his past experiences, all his life, all his personality and individuality. Now we're gonna start with the pain fact number 2. If I don't have pain, I don't think about it, right? But if I do have pain, I don't think about anything else. This is so true. So let's say I have pain. I'm under stress if I have pain. When I'm under stress, I don't sleep well. When I don't sleep well, I cannot concentrate at my work. If I cannot concentrate, my activities are not done well. So maybe we will get some ideas. How do we break this circle as we continue with our video? Fact number 3, only 30% of pain patients react positively on pain medications. My God, this is a very low percentage, and I can confirm you this when I talk with my chronic pain patients. They are telling me pain medications doesn't work on me or doesn't help me sufficiently anymore. So where do we find the answer? Why not? Maybe because all these additional factors are influencing. Like I said, we don't sleep, we are depressed, we are anxious, we have all these psychological and emotional factors involved. So fact number 4, the longer the pain persists, the longer the healing process. You should remember this one. Why? Let me explain to you how the pain cell even work. So every pain cell, imagine a cell, a circle, has around reception field. And this reception field is called VDR. That means wide dynamic range. And in the chronic pain patient, this field expands. So the longer the pain persists, as we said, the larger this field gets, this VDR, more sensitive we are to pain. Let's compare this VDR with our mobile network. We say the field needs to expand. And if you're using a cell phone and you go to the basement, you don't have any network, right? So the people cannot reach you. Let's say in the basement you cannot have pain, right? I'm just kidding. But soon you come up on the surface, or if you're in the city, then the field expands, the mobile network expands, and many people can reach you. At the same principle, this VDR is actually working. Normally with a movement, or if somebody touches us, or we put some cold or hot on our extremities, this doesn't hurt, right? But I'm gonna tell you example from my practice. I had recently a patient, left side hemiplegia, and when I touched his arm, he said, ow, this was painful for him. And if you know how the pain is processing, his pain receptors were processing this information as painful. But how does our brain even process the pain? We're gonna see this in the next section. So let's continue with the fact number 5. Pain is a reaction to a stimulus, and the stimulus doesn't necessarily need to be tangible. What I mean with that? Let's take a look at this example from my patients. When I touched his arm, he felt pain. How does our brain even process this? Let's say that this stimulus, this touch, went through a peripheral nervous system towards our spinal cord first, and then it goes up towards thalamus, middle brain, and cortex, which is actually our boss here. But all these pain cells, or all these nerve cells, let's say, needs to speak the same language, because the language here is a little bit different than in our spinal cord. Let's say that the nervous cells are speaking English, and if we have one that is speaking German in between, the information will not come to our brain, to the cortex, right? And the cortex will be confused, and the output we will have different, not the one we desire. So now I'm gonna give you another example to clarify these things a little bit more. So let's say you are invited to a party. You're standing in front of the door with a nice cold bottle of wine, and you ring the doorbell. And this doorbell represents this sensory system, because this is a connection between you and the person and the people who are already inside the house, right? So one neighbor opens the door, and when he sees you, he say, oh, Mike is here. And you know how the informations are traveling very fast, and the neighbor is saying, Mike has arrived, Mike has arrived, Mike has arrived, and all the neighbors receive this information. And let's say the host of the party is maybe in the third room, so this information needs to come to the host. And then when this information landed, the host will say, oh, Mike is here, Mike, come on in, don't be shy. And this is a clear sign for you that you can enter the party. But this is the best case scenario. Let's see what is happening if the scenario doesn't go as we planned. The second scenario goes like this. You are standing in front of the door, you're ringing the doorbell, the neighbor opens the door, and he was a little bit puzzled because he didn't actually expect you, right? And you're standing there, what is happening? And the neighbor said, oh, Mike has arrived, Mike has arrived. And the people start to talk, Mike has arrived, Mike has arrived. But then one neighbor said, why is Mike here? We didn't invite Mike, we invite Ben actually, which is the other neighbor that lives in the right house from the host. And this information landed to the host of the party, and the host said, I didn't invite Mike, I invite Ben. And he say, sorry Mike, you are not invited to a party. So they slam the door, and you can just go home and drink your wine yourself. If the pain processing gets misunderstood, we cannot expect the 100% accurate outcome. So we're going to continue with the fact number 6. Pain always protects us against real or perceived danger. We're going to explain this just a little bit better. While it starts to rain, give me the umbrella, please. Okay. So there was a study done with a thermography. What that means, they took a group of people and they place a drop of acid on their hands. And what they see that the temperature in the hand immediately drops because this acid, this expectation that this may hurt, immediately cut the blood supply. It causes vasoconstriction, right? And the people's hands were actually cold. So what they did next, they wait 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, they saw that the temperature of the hand increased again. But what they did further, they took the same people and they say to them, please close your eyes and just imagine that the drop of acid was put on your hand, and what they saw, that this imagination, this expected danger to be, immediately caused the vasoconstriction. That means the blood supply restricted again and the hand becomes cold. So how do we connect this in our lives? You see, if you maybe go to a dentist appointment, you expect to be hurtful, then, well, maybe it will be. These expectations of what can happen, this can easily provoke pain. But if you go to the dentist and you say yourself, it's gonna be fine, I'm gonna meditate just a little bit, this is just gonna be as a walk in the park, and as well, maybe it can happen. So that's why meditation and autogenic training can be a very successful method when we are treating pain. So we continue with the fact number 7. Pain is actually influenced by genetic and epigenetic. Genetic we cannot change, but epigenetic we can do a lot of things about it. Epi means above, so we are talking about the influence of environment, of the food you're eating, also of these psychological additional factors that we were talking about before, like sleeping, depression, everything goes under epigenetic. So let's talk about genetic first. You may heard of the hormone called serotonin, right? And the happy people, they say they have a lot of serotonin. The level of serotonin is high, but the sad people, depressed people, has less serotonin. And why is serotonin so important with the pain processing? Because serotonin is actually function as neurotransmitter and neuromodulator. Transmitter is somebody that is transmitting something from point A to point B, right? I'm thinking about the moving company. If you're moving, for example, you order a moving truck and you have to transport all your boxes from your apartment to this moving truck. And neuromodulator, what that means, modulating, if you're modulating something, that means you can decide. If you have 100 boxes to move, you can decide in which time these 100 boxes needs to be moved. Is this half an hour? Is this 1 hour? You can decide how many boxes you want to move. Or you're gonna transport all the 100 boxes, or you're gonna leave 2 and you're gonna take these 2 with your own personal car. So serotonin can actually decide how much serotonin will be transported. And as we said before, the more serotonin you have, the less pain you will feel. So now let's explain why this serotonin is so important for our genes. You know, we have chromosomes, and on each chromosome you have genes. And each gene we can divide on a section. Each section has a long part and it has a shorter part. And this longer part of the gene contains more serotonin. That's why this is so important. And if you're lucky enough, if you get long segments from your mother and long segments from your father, that means you are not so sensitive to a pain. But in any other combination, long, short, 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 you are probably more prone to a pain. So let's talk about epigenetics. You know, everything starts with our parents. And if you were a kid playing on the ground, on the field, and you scratch your knees, and your parents were always concerning and making drama, does it hurt? Does it hurt? Did you do something? Let me clean your wound. And there was a neighbor kid maybe, and their parents say, come on, that's nothing, let's go. You can only imagine which kid will be more prone to the pain, because everything starts with the parents, as we said, and the influence of the parents was pretty high, and the processing of pain was totally different from the neighbors. So there were many studies also done regarding our expectations, how we process and how we expect something to be painful. So what they did in this study, they took a group of people, they placed an object that was colored red, and the second group of people had the same object but was colored green, and you can only imagine which group of people experienced more pain. So you see also the colors has some expectations, because we have learned that the color red, for example, means something more negative, means danger, means stop, do not approach, and the color green has a nicer meaning, means health, means something positive, means you can drive on a traffic light, right? So you see that the colors has some positive affirmations. So next fact we are dealing with, the pain goes hand in hand with the belief. Oh my God. This I see every single day with my patients. You know how it goes when the doctor comes in the room and he say, lady, you need to take this pill. This will help you against your pain. The person will say, oh my God, I need to take this pill. The doctor said it will help me, and I believe now it will help me. And the people are so convinced this is actually a good thing. The belief system is actually something very positive, because what does the belief actually does? Why is the placebo effect also so powerful? The hormonal changes are happening. These neurotransmitters and neuromodulators are changing our hormonal balance, let's say, and these chemical changes are influencing our pain perception in such a way that we actually don't feel pain, or we feel less pain. And one of the pioneers in this field was actually Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you heard about him, he wrote a book, The Power of Belief. I recommend this book if you are interested more in this topic. I can actually tell you one very sympathetic example from my personal life. My mother had severe knee pain, severe knee arthrosis, both sides. And the thing escalated like 2 years ago, so severe that she cannot even walk 5 meters anymore. I said to her, Mom, you know what? You need to take 2 spoons of olive oil, of virgin olive oil per day, and this will help you, or this can help you to reduce the inflammation. And she was like, huh, what are you talking about? And then I said to her, this was a study done in 2005, where they confirmed that the olive oil, the virgin olive oil, contains the same substance as you found in aspirin or ibuprofen. And this substance is called oleocanthal, and this is the substance that can reduce, or it reduces your pain. They say you take a spoon or 2 of olive oil per day, and this can help you by reducing the pain. And when I told my mom this, she said, come on, leave me alone. And I'm pretty sure that if her doctor will say the same thing, she will do it every single day. And one thing from my practice, I see so many patients, they having like maybe the shoulder pain, the knee pain, and they're using all these pain creams, you know, that you can buy in a pharmacy. And when I ask them, does this help you? And they say, oh yeah, I put this every day. This helped me. This took my pain away. And I say, okay. But when you are listening to some specialist, maybe the orthopedic specialist, they say, you know, these creams doesn't really help so much. What they can help, they can influence a little bit of blood flow, but the patients are actually so convinced that this actually works, that these changes, these chemical changes are so powerful in our brain that this actually works. So the last fact I have for you, you can influence the pain by the food you're eating. So we're gonna start with our influencers. Which food can positively influence our pain? This is food rich in omega-3, beef, herring, fish, egg, broccoli, mango, spices like curcuma, ingwer, pure cocoa, cloves, for example. Did you know that cloves can give you a significant amount of toothache relief? You should definitely avoid the food rich in trans fat, all these McDonald's things, vegetable oils, sunflower oils, raps oil. All these things can negatively influence your pain. Also, if you already have pain, you should avoid chicken meat or tuna. Why? Because tuna and chicken meat contains arachidonic acid, and arachidonic acid can negatively influence in processing the pain. That's it, guys. We reached to our end. We took a nice walk in the park of Templo de Debod in beautiful Madrid, and I hope I give you some valuable information you can use in your personal life. I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel so we stay in touch. You can give me a like or even a comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.